We've almost arrived at the greatest celebration in Legends history, the 7th anniversary. And just like any great celebration, the biggest factor will always be the newest characters. So just like we do every year, we're going to be going over what characters we could potentially see to make this celebration truly live up to its hype. From the Sparkings to Legends Limited and of course the Ultra units, with maybe a potential new rarity that we've never seen before. Sounds interesting, right? But first, we need to discuss the format. Now, since we have no idea what the format will be this year, we're going to be sticking with the same format as we got last year, which means this video will be split into 3 sections to cover each part of the celebration. But before that, let me know what character you want to see the most for this anniversary, whether it be a Sparking, an LF unit, or an Ultra unit. Let me know in the comments below. So to start things off, let's discuss part 1 of the anniversary. Now, part 1 has to be amazing. They need to always start off these celebrations with the best thing they can possibly do. Just look at the 6th anniversary versus Legends Festival 2024. They both had really great characters, but one of them was clearly more hype. That was the 6th anniversary because they introduced new mechanics to the Synchro Gauge, 2 fusions, and that was one of the biggest reasons why the 6th anniversary was regarded as one of the best ones, whereas Legends Festival, not many people enjoyed it, right? Despite giving us transforming Vegito Blue and transforming Rose, 2 characters that are pretty hyped themselves. So any sort of new mechanics, cool animations are a must, and with the brand new update coming up soon, I think this should be handled pretty well. Now, another thing to add is that we also got the new free-to-play Frieza that runs on Unireps. Now, if you remember last year, we also got a new free-to-play unit in the form of the Whis from Battle of Gods, but we also got a Zenkai for Super Saiyan 3 Red Goku. Now, you can think of this Whis as a God Ki buff similar to that of Gogeta Blue, and then you can think of the Zenkai Super Saiyan 3 Red Goku as a Majin Buu Saga buff for the Super Vegito, right? So usually these free-to-play units tend to point towards what the next campaign or what the next unit is going to be. So it's kind of safe to assume that this Frieza kind of points towards a Universe Reps buff for part 1. Now, before we actually talk about the new units, there are basically 2 versions of what I can see for part 1. One of them being 2 Legends Limited units, just like we've seen last year and for Legends Festival. If we were to go with 2 Legends Limited units, I think the most anticipated unit to come here is a Fusing Super Gogeta. Yes, so last year we got Fusing Super Vegito and Fusing Gogeta Blue. It only makes sense for this year to be Fusing Super Gogeta. Now, if we did not get Transforming Vegito Blue during the Legends Festival, I would say just flip what we got from 6th anniversary and make it Fusing Super Gogeta and Fusing Vegito Blue. But since we already got Vegito Blue a couple months ago, I don't think that's possible. Instead, what we could see is a Universe Rep buff in the form of potentially a Fusing Kefla. But if it's not a Fusing Kefla, because Kefla, first of all, is a unit that we've wanted for so long. The last Kefla unit we got was during the 3rd anniversary, almost 4 years ago, right? So a Fusing Kefla would make a lot of sense here as a Universe Reps buff, and Super Gogeta could be the quote-unquote hype character to carry part 1. But if it's not Kefla, there are a couple other options from the Universe Reps tag that we could see. For example, we could get a tag Super Saiyan God and Hit. That would be a really cool character. They could also introduce a new type of mechanic and make it so we get a triple tag unit in the form of Goku, Frieza, and 17, the 3 final members of Universe 7. So there's a lot of options they can go for Universe Reps to co-headline alongside Super Gogeta as the headliners for part 1. Now, in terms of Sparkings, I mean, you can just toss in a new Sparking Janemba. If they were to make giant characters, you can maybe throw in a giant Janemba. That's only if they decide to do giant characters. On the Universe Rep side, you can see a bunch of different characters like Lightning Speed Dispo, Ultimate Gohan, Tag Gohan, and Piccolo. Any of the Universe 7 units could work out. It really just comes down to what you see as the LF, and then the Sparking, you can pick and choose from there. Now, this would be one version of part 1, but there's also potentially another version of part 1 which could equally be as possible for this anniversary, and that would be by starting off the anniversary with an Ultra unit. And of course, since we got free-to-play Frieza and it's pointing towards a Universe Reps buff, the only unit that could headline an anniversary that's also Ultra worthy is MUI Goku. Now, whether MUI Goku drops for part 1 or part 3, which we'll discuss later, he is going to drop in this anniversary no matter what, but I'll speak more about it during the part 3 section on why he's basically confirmed for this anniversary. But if we do get an Ultra and just one single banner, they need to reformat the banner so that we get more than just one Ultra. We need probably multiple LFs on this banner, new LFs. So if they drop the Ultra MUI, they would have to drop another LF, for example, a Fusing Super Gogeta alongside him, because just one unit will not cut it. I don't care what they think, just one unit, even if it's an Ultra, even if it's MUI, we need more than that. One of the main reasons why the 4th anniversary was so bad is that they stuck with a monthly LF banner format for the anniversary, which means we got the LF MUI Goku alongside just our Vegeta, and that was part 1. That was terrible. That's one of the reasons why one single banner formats are not good. But if they want to make these one single format banners actually good is they have to follow the same recipe as the 5th anniversary, where we got, of course, the headlining LF, but we also got 4 new Sparkings, Jiren being a very good one, and the others were still pretty decent as well. So if they were to drop an Ultra MUI Goku, they need to drop new Sparkings with them and a new LF. They would have to have multiple new characters on the same banner, which I don't know if they want to do that for an Ultra, but if they were to go with an Ultra for part 1, that's what they have to do. Either that, or they do a separate Ultra banner with another new character on it, so it still has to be different from all the previous Ultra banners, alongside a separate LF Fusing Super Gogeta banner, whatever the case may be, right? It's kind of lopsided, like people would mostly sign for the MUI Goku instead of Super Gogeta, which is why they should kind of find a balance and maybe incorporate them together, because one Ultra and one LF is just way too lopsided towards Ultra MUI. I feel like as hype as Fusing Gogeta is going to be, like Ultra MUI is definitely going to be the biggest draw of these two banners. Either you just simply make 2 LF banners like we've always seen, or you make one banner with the Ultra and the new LF all together with some other Sparking units, and that will work out. That's pretty much all for part 1 of the anniversary. Now let's move on to part 2. Now part 2 of these anniversaries are usually pretty hard to predict because usually gets some sort of hints leading up to the part 2. So during the part 1 we'll start getting hints, but if we start to predict prior to even part 1 releasing, it's practically impossible to guess them, but we'll try our best, right? So for part 2, usually they would drop some movie units. We've seen this multiple times in the past. 6th anniversary, you know, we got God Goku. 5th anniversary, we got Orange Piccolo Gammas. 4th anniversary, we got Dragon Fist Goku. 3rd anniversary, we got Revival Gohan. It just, part 2, it just feels like it's always going to be a movies unit, right? And in terms of movie units, there's only a few options I can really see as an LF for this anniversary. And I'm not going to lie, it's looking like it's basically just a bunch of Gokus. There are so many different Super Saiyan Gokus we can get from the Broly movie, any of the cooler movies, from the Android 13 movies, those could be one. A remade LF Family Kamehameha Tag Goten and Gohan would be really cool as well. We can even see a Super Saiyan Blue Resurrection F Goku, similar to how we got God Goku last year from the Battle of Gods movie. We can get this Goku from the Resurrection of F movie, which would be really cool because we haven't gotten an LF version of this Goku ever. The only one we got is from the 1st anniversary, which is pretty crazy. Or we can also see a new Dragon Ball Super Broly, because we haven't gotten a new full power Super Broly from that movie since probably the first LF unit we got. So he definitely needs an update, but if they were to drop another one of this guy, I would rather him be an Ultra, released probably after the anniversary, maybe as like a monthly Ultra, what we get for a Saga campaign, or maybe in the festival, who knows. But I would rather see him as an Ultra than an LF unit, but who knows, he could still be an option. A couple other options would be LF Spirit Bomb Goku from the Majin Buu saga, simply because of these 7 Dragon Balls and it being the 7th year anniversary. I feel like they have to do something with these 7 Dragon Balls to represent the 7th anniversary, and that Spirit Bomb Goku, you know, his iconic line, you know, thank you Dragon Balls, when he transforms Super Saiyan and delivers the final blow with the Spirit Bomb on Kid Buu. That could be a really cool moment, and I do think that moment deserves representation again, remade, because the only one we have is the original LF Green Super Saiyan 3 Goku we got like during the 2nd year of the game, right? It can also be like a standby mechanic similar to the Buu duos, but this time it's actually canon moment, which would be pretty cool. So that could be their way of kind of redeeming the unit, because the Buu duos, yeah, they weren't that great, right? Now, outside of these movies characters, I think it's only fair to mention, yes, some Daima units. Dragon Ball Daima is still the newest piece of content for Dragon Ball, and it would be a no-brainer to say that they could appear during the anniversary. Now, of course, all the hype moments are already released in the form of, you know, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta in their adult forms, which is something I thought was going to happen during the anniversary, but they decided to drop it before that. Those moments are gone, but we can see other moments. For example, you don't have Goma, the powerful opponent of this series. This obviously depends on whether they want to go with releasing giant characters or not, or if they want to just shrink his model to the same size as potentially like corrupted Murzumasu or something like that. That would probably make a lot more sense to release him. But other than, we can get like a revival Super Saiyan 3 into Super Saiyan 4 mini Goku, mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Sparking units can involve, you know, Super Saiyan 3 Do, any of the Tamagamis. We're still missing Tamagami number 1 and 2, which would be pretty cool to see. So there's still a lot they can drop from Daima, so don't be surprised. I know Daima is very annoying to fight, very annoying to fight right now, but don't be surprised if we see some sort of Daima buffs during this part 2 of the anniversary. Now, I think it's also worth mentioning the potential possibility of having a game original units. Yes, we haven't seen one since the first one, which is Goku and Bardock back during Festival 2023. I don't know what their plans are for this type of unit, but it's still worth mentioning because it's still possible, right? And when it comes to game original units, like I keep saying it, the possibilities are endless. You can literally make anything happen with these game original units. So I'm not even gonna bother trying to figure out what they can drop. I will say they could do some funny stuff and give us like a tag Vegito and Gogeta or something like like that. The reason I'm just saying Vegito is because every anniversary has involved a Vegito unit in one way or the other. So it would be kind of, you know, kind of weird not to see Vegito, but I'm pretty sure not many people want to see him since we got him for the first time during the festival in 2024. So maybe that could be their way of saying, okay, we're not giving you another one for this anniversary. But if they do and end up giving us like a game original Vegito, like that would be sick, right? Regardless, that's gonna be pretty much it for part 2. Now let's move on to the final part of the anniversary, part 3. Now part 3 is where we close off the anniversary with quote unquote the most hyped character of the entire celebration, and this is usually reserved for the ultra of the celebration. And you guys already know which character I'm gonna say because every single person has been saying this character, and I've already said earlier in the video, and it's going to be Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. Now this is the part of the video where I reiterate the anniversary pattern, the pattern that everyone likes to point to, that I always say whenever I make these videos. Let's go over it once again. First anniversary, we got the LF Super Vegito. Fourth anniversary, 3 years later, we got Ultra Super Vegito. Second anniversary, we got LF Vegito Blue. And 3 years later, during the 5th anniversary, we got Ultra Vegito Blue. Third anniversary, we got the headliner Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. 3 years later, during the 6th anniversary, we got Ultra Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Fourth anniversary, we got MUI Goku. 3 years later, what do we get? Ultra MUI Goku. Now you can argue this by saying, you know, Corrupted Merge Zamasu was also a headliner for the 3rd anniversary, so technically he should be next in line, which I guess would make sense, but come on, Corrupted Merge Zamasu as an ultra for the anniversary, like let's be for real now. So MUI Goku, I mean, it would make a lot of sense. Now I did mention MUI Goku as a potential part 1 ultra unit if they were to start off the anniversary with an ultra, right? If they actually end up doing that, then there will 100% be 2 ultras for this anniversary, one for part 1 and then one for part 3. So if that were the case, if MUI Goku did end up dropping for part 1 to start off the anniversary, what could potentially be the second ultra for his anniversary? Well, there are a few options. For one, Super Saiyan 4 Goku could be a really good option. I honestly thought they would drop a Super Saiyan 4 Goku Ultra last year, just because I thought that maybe if they dropped so many fusions, they weren't going to drop Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, but they said, nah, screw that. We're dropping every single fusion for that anniversary, and they ended up doing it. So they could actually just go ahead and drop a Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and I'm talking specifically about the GT Super Saiyan 4 Goku, not Daima one. We don't need another Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku right off the bat, especially an adult form. So no, I'm talking about the GT one because we didn't get any sort of Super Saiyan 4 Goku or Vegeta during the quote-unquote GT campaign we were seeing last year. So it would make a lot of sense for us to finally get an Ultra. This guy deserves to be an Ultra. He might not be enough as an Ultra for part 3 if he was the only Ultra, but since this is assuming MUI Goku gets one for part 1, it would be actually okay for him to be the part 3 Ultra as well. Another option could be, like I mentioned, Dragon Ball Super Broly, full power Super Saiyan Broly. This guy does deserve a new unit, and I do think a new Ultra would be perfect for him. And similarly to Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he's not enough to be the sole Ultra of the celebration, but since this is a hypothetical double Ultra anniversary, he could work out as well. But what if they do something completely different? What if they give us an Ultra Legends Limited unit? Yes, I know that sounds scary, but hear me out. The Legends Limited designation is not really a rarity like Hero, Extreme, Sparking, and Ultra. It's just a designation to a specific rarity, and currently it's only given to Sparkings, so they make them Sparking Legends Limited unit and them having access to a legendary finish, right? Which means they can easily take that Legends Limited designation and just slap it onto an Ultra, and that would make a lot of sense, and that would introduce Ultra LF units, right? This is definitely going to happen at some point, whether it be Legends Limited or something else completely like Ultra Limited or Legends, I don't know, and it could be something completely different. It doesn't have to be Legends Limited, but there's probably going to be a step above Ultra where the rates are most likely going to hit 0.25%, which is basically the original pull rate of the LF units. When LF units first dropped, they were 0.25 units after they were basically ticket exclusive units, but we're not talking about that. They were at 0.25, and then they raised it to 0.5 during Legends Festival 2020 with Gogeta Blue and Broly. Now, since Ultra units have never reached that pull rate of 0.25 since they're at 0.35, I think the 0.25 pull rate is reserved for the next tier, which is going to be the Ultra Legends Limited unit, or Ultra whatever they want to call it, if they want to differentiate it from the Legends Limited units, right? So what could potentially be the first Ultra LF unit, right? Well, there are actually 3 options I can think of. 2 of them are more plausible than the last one, but the last one I just added for fun. The first option would be Super Saiyan Goku. There's a reason why is because because Namek Super Saiyan Goku was actually the first Ultra we got. He was a free-to-play Ultra. This is the first ever Ultra we ever got, and we haven't gotten an Ultra summonable version of him ever since. So it would make a lot of sense for the first Ultra unit to also be the first Ultra LF unit. So Namek Goku, I would say, has the best odds to be the first Ultra LF unit, but there's also another one, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, specifically Father-Son Kamehameha Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. We obviously need a remade version of this LF, and the reason why I say this is because LF Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, FSK Gohan, the Zenkai one, the red one, was also the first LF unit to drop in the game. He was the first unit to have access to a legendary finish, so it would make a lot of sense for Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan with the Father-Son Kamehameha to be the first Ultra LF unit, because he was the first Sparking Legends Limited unit, right? Now, obviously, people probably wouldn't be super happy with this because it's yet another Gohan. We just got Ultra Beast Gohan. We got Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan last year. They don't want to see Gohan again and again and again, which I understand, but I'm just saying, logically, it just makes a lot of sense for him to be one of the first or the first Ultra LF unit. And of course, Father-Son Kamehameha needs to be remade with modern animation. That's like 100% a must. And now the final option is one that's not as high on the probability scale as the other two, but I just figured I'd add it, and it's Super Vegito. Yes, Super Vegito. Yeah, I know we got Fusing Super Vegito last year. We got Ultra Super Vegito 3 years ago at this point, so, you know, he kind of deserves another Ultra at this point. But the only reason I'm even adding him here is because, like I mentioned earlier, we've gotten a Vegito unit every single anniversary, right? Super Vegito first anniversary, Vegito Blue second anniversary, third anniversary, we got a Sparking Vegito Blue, and then fourth, we got USV Ultra Super Vegito, fifth, Ultra Vegito Blue, and then sixth, Fusing Super Vegito, right? So we've seen some form of Vegito in every single anniversary, so it would be kind of weird to skip out on this yearly tradition of not having a Vegito unit, but at the same time, like, I don't really see it happening. I just figured I would add it just to have a Vegito prediction in this entire video. So that's gonna be pretty much it for part 3 of the anniversary, and that would conclude the entire celebration of the 7th anniversary. Now, like I said, they could have these hype characters and whatnot, but they need to absolutely nail the animations, the gameplay, the mechanic. Those are the more important parts. If there's nothing really new with the gameplay or anything like that, then the characters are just kind of characters, and they'll end up being like Legends Festival, right? They're cool characters, but there's nothing really special about them. And this 7th year anniversary, they're gassing it up to be the greatest celebration ever, so they need to bring in a lot of heat to live up to this monumental expectations they set themselves on this celebration. Now, obviously, I hope they deliver on it, but with their track records, I don't know how plausible that is. Regardless, I'm excited for this. Let me know what characters you want to see the most for this anniversary. Hopefully, it's great.